The time is exactly 8:56 a.m. Welcome back. News and views on Salam Media. And my next guest is a family physician and occupational medical practitioner. And he started out by saying, I made the decision early on in life that I will not be just another crime statistic. This family physician and occupational medical practitioner hails from an area known for being home to many drugs and gangs. And of course, that is Manenberg on the Cape Flats. And the practitioner that I'm talking about is on screen right now. He is Dr. Randall Ortel. A very good morning to you. Welcome and congratulations, congratulations. And may you truly be the role model that changes and touches many lives in Manenberg and surrounds, of course.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thanks, Julie. And just to be culturally correct, I must probably say shukran.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah, wonderful. And of course, we do know that in the Western Cape, the different faith groups
yeah,
live so closely with each other and are such a tight community. It's not about you being Muslim or you being Christian or anything else.
correct,
It's about community. It's a collective, and that's the
correct.
beauty of the Western Cape, is it not?
Yeah, no, it's actually watertight. That's how tight we are.
Wonderful. So tell
Yeah.
us your story. You were born and raised in Manenberg. What did you see, playing out in front of your eyes in the early years of your life that you decided this is not for me? I need to make something of my life. Because on the flip side of the situation that you find yourself in, we know of very many young people today that come from educated families, from good families, and sadly they've lost their way, so they
Yeah,
end up in drugs and gangsterism.
yeah,
And that really is heartbreaking because they have been given the right start up in life, whereas you didn't. So let's
yeah.
talk about those two situations and what was it that made you live your dream and make your dream become a reality.
Yeah. No, thanks for that question. I'll start with the latter. Okay. So you said many people come from great homes and then they lose their way. So I really, in all my interviews that I've been doing now, I've just giving thanks to my dad or my parents. My dad is a no nonsense guy. He grew up in Manenberg as well, so he's seen it all. So I mean, the warnings and the instructions and those sort of things that he's given me is because he's done it before. He knows what's happening. He grew up with the notorious guys. They were in school together and so forth. So he would always guide me and tell me that, I don't like that behavior, or I don't like this, or I see you hanging out there. Like, he left me, we played, I was in the streets. You never judged people. But he would always tell me, I'm noticing a trend with you, and that could be your downward fall. So what I just wanted to say is that kept me in check. But they still allowed me to be a child. I still played in the cement roads of Manenberg. I still played with my friends. We went to school. I did everything. I was naughty. I climbed trees, the works. And I think I just loved school. I'm a very inquisitive type person. And now in in tertiary education, I got the answer. I'm actually a researcher. When you're a kid or when you're younger, you're just inquisitive, so you try and explore things. Now I just do a lot of research because I have a question or I want to look at certain things and I want to get the proper facts. So it's called research, in our day and age now. But yeah, I loved school. I loved people. I loved social interaction. So, I can now say that, I worked on my gross motor, fine motor skills, social skills, personal skills, whatever. And those communities are just great to grow up in because, the amount of stimulation you get there, good and bad, it puts you to the test. So you actually have to develop. If you don't develop, then there's something wrong. And it normally, in my opinion, normally puts it back to the support structure of kids in terms of their parents or grandparents. We know. If parents or grandparents are absent, the kids go by the wayside. So the child can get enough stimulation from the community, but there must be a guiding light or guiding source.
Okay, let's go back a couple of steps back and let's look at the situation of what was the darkness and the horrors that you saw on the streets, perhaps growing up, apart from your dad being a great role model, that you decided that that's not for me? I want better than that. And then also, you speak about being a very inquisitive child. You
Mm.
also get, different personality types.
Yes.
I mean, I kind of observe children a couple of months old, and you can already see a certain personality type developing there. That's a very a child that is in love with life. That child is happy. That child is boisterous. Or you see a child that is downright difficult. As a medical practitioner, correct me if I'm wrong here. You do get different personality types, and you do get those difficult children that are going to grow up being troubled teenagers, and if not corrected, or if you try to correct them, they're going to push back and become worse, and end up in really very, very bad situations, possibly even
Yeah.
in prison.
Yeah.
Would I be correct in my assessment?
Yeah, no, look, you get different personality disorders. So, as I also want to say, Julie, I mean, I'm a family physician, so I'm a specialist. I mean, people in the medical fraternity would know that what that means. So, I had to go through another 4 years of additional training, write the college exams and so forth. So the benefit of staying in Manenberg, I've got close hand, and I'm in touch with the community, and I can have a sense as to what's happening on the ground. Now, if you do pediatrics, or even if you're just a layperson and you look at a child, the brain is so absorbable, and the plasticity is what we call it, because that's kids can learn a language quickly and so forth, and they pick it up. So my ideology is, and I say this all the time in Manenberg, you cannot have kids if you are not prepared for them, because that is the best springboard that you're going to give the child. So, parents, I put it back to prevention. So, for me, I'm all about health education, promotion, and then prevention. I don't want people to be sick. So, we've seen all the statistics of who is the disruptive children, who's the obsessive compulsive children, who's the defiant children, who's the conduct disorder children. Those are all the disorders that you get. And if you pin it back, that child didn't just land on earth. Then there must have been preparation. I mean, if you take agriculture as an example, you gotta plow the grounds and prepare the grounds before you even plant the crops. So why are we not doing that as adults, or as people? So there is the unfortunate eventualities where there are unwanted pregnancies, or pregnancies that's not planned for, and so forth. But people need to just think about it and just give one step before you want to bring somebody into the world. What is your baseline? What is your platform? And I keep on saying this, is that we might miss 1 or 2 generations with this approach. But I keep on telling the youngsters in Manenberg, just go on contraception or something, man, or just abstain. You are not ready. I mean, I think that message must just come across clearer and clearer and clearer to people. People that apply for
So
home loans and bonds and so forth that doesn't qualify, they must tell the youngsters they can't even huis gaat koopie. You need to be prepared in life, and you
yes,
need to give kids the platform. So that message must come across stronger. We mustn't just say use contraception. They don't know why. They're going to ask, why must I use contraception?
uh, Randall, let me ask you this question in a different way. Let's look at that disruptive, disobedient child. Maybe the parents pick it up early on in the child's life.
Okay.
You get that child that is just so disagreeable at 3 years old, already having tantrums, etc. Are you suggesting that if they don't put in the right measurements in place, the right support structures in place at that early age, you are going to have a troubled, disobedient child, and eventually a troubled adult? Uh,
Yeah.
is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So our environment shapes us. So the earlier you pick up these things, the earlier you need to go for help. So the help might seem insignificant to us if you are ignorant or if you don't know. But there are therapists, there are people that can deal with these things. So the one problem we are dealing with in South Africa is resources. So healthcare resources is not readily available all over the country, as easy as one would think. But the sooner the parents pick up these things, or the guardians or relatives or whoever, seek out and get help. Because if you can improve the environment that shapes this child, there's hope at improving.
Okay, I'm going to leave this for another conversation because I'm now digging very deep in, and it's not a medical show. It's all about you and your achievements. Congratulations once again. I will definitely be picking your brain in another interview.
So,
You have achieved much, undoubtedly an amazing role model in Manenberg. Are there other role models doing similar things that you are doing? And I have no doubt in my mind that you are some sort of a community activist as well, talking to young people, trying to get them off the streets. Because if you're not doing that, I'd be very disappointed.
Yeah. So no, no, you are spot on there. I am a community activist, and I think that is just confirmed by people inviting me all over in Manenberg. Kids, parents, organizations, the works. Just inviting me to work with them. And in retrospect, that obviously tells me that people appreciate what I do. So my motto is just I just want to put good out there. So the one thing I wanted to say is people always say get the kids off the street. Um, I don't want to get the kids off the street. They can learn on the street because our houses are just so small in Manenberg. I mean, there's no space to breathe. And many of the kids are backyard dwellers and those sort of things. So, when you're on the streets, our streets are generally safe, apart from gang violence and so forth, and maybe the reckless driver here or there. But I mean, the streets are generally safe because, I mean, you can see the amount of people in the road as a driver. You're not going to speed or do anything. And people generally know each other. And that's generally where kids play. But we can use that platform to actually teach kids, and that's actually what we are doing. I mean, the one thing that I'm just working on briefly, and it seemed to work. I mean, there's this trend where these kids gamble. They have this dice, and they throw it, and it's this gambling game and so forth. I'm actually just asking them to do a little bit of mathematics. I can actually see them counting, and to my amazement, some of them actually can't count. So and they are in their teens. So obviously they were early school dropouts. And I tell them you can only win the gambling game if you can count.
Ah,
So so
okay.
so I'm involved, on the streets because I mean I'm tangible, and I can
Okay.
actually speak to them. So yes, definitely I work in my community.
What about, let's talk about the issue around you were a taxi driver trying
Okay.
to pay your way through
Yeah.
medical school. You obviously had bursaries, but there was always shortfalls. People didn't know you were studying, and they were quite surprised when, when they when they'd heard that you were, graduated as a doctor and then started
Yeah.
practicing in the
Yeah.
vicinity. How has that changed their view on perhaps their own futures or their children's futures?
Yeah, I mean, people come to me and like, oh, Randall, you just made the impossible just seem possible. And what I always tell people is, we've got all the resources in the community. You just need to tap into it. I mean, why must people initially go overseas? Why must that be their dream? I'm just asking. There's nothing wrong with going overseas, But everything is in the community. I mean, the streetwise skills we learn there, how to hustle and so forth. And I mean, I looked at this in a calculated way. I mean, I applied to work at some of the food chains and so forth. You come in as a packer. At that time, they used to offer you 10 rand an hour as a student. So, I mean, if I worked 12 hours, I only got 120 rand. That was probably going to be okay to sustain me, but then I needed to do a Saturday and a Sunday, which is like 240 rand for the weekend. And I just looked at this whole thing and I thought, like, look, I need to have a job where I can be in control and I can drive. The more I put in, the more I can get out. That type of thing. And I assessed, I looked, and boom, the penny just dropped. Why don't I just do a taxi? I did all the preparation work, to check what needs to happen and so forth. So you got to have a professional driving permit and all those things. And I sorted myself out. And when I approached the taxi owners, of course, I mean, people were like, "Ah, my friend, you don't even know the industry. You're not going to make it. So I'm like, okay, no, cool. I mean, if you say I can't make it, that's great. I mean, I just kept on going to the next and the next and the next person until I found an owner that said, no, okay, cool. My vehicle's available. I do school transport during the week. And when you are free after university, the vehicle is available. So, I mean, that's how the whole thing started. Then eventually I started driving on vacation times because, I mean, on university, you get some nice vacation, sometimes a month and a half at end. And I would be driving, I would be doing the business. And I could see the more trips I got in, the more money I made, after I had to pay the owner and after I had to refuel the vehicle and so forth. So it actually became a decent income. I mean, even the guy that was working at my door, the shouter, as they say in English, or the gachi in Afrikaans, I mean, that guy saw the benefit. I mean, he earned 200% of what the current sliding door operator was earning at that point in time. So everybody wanted to obviously work with me because I became popular, because he was just earning such a lot of money. And then with my people skills, people used the taxi all the time. So I just became a popular figure. And, with that popularity of being a taxi driver, I allowed that atmosphere to reign so that I don't have to tell people I'm actually studying to be a doctor. I just left it at that point. So that's how people just knew me as a taxi driver, and I left it at that.
Wonderful. Okay, we have run out of time. I need to speak to you again on another program regarding how to set up or become a taxi driver. Lots of people are unemployed and maybe they need to learn the skills from you. Finally, are there any other people like yourself in Manenberg? There must be. And have you
Yeah,
tried to form an organization with them to perhaps, just give this whole issue around the young people, get them more into education, get them more to invest in themselves, and just give that whole that whole initiative more traction.
yeah. I've got this motto where I say, preach the gospel and if necessary, speak, which means a walk of life, or we need to show the youngsters what to do and not always tell them what to do. Now, there is a lot of graduates in Manenberg. The unfortunate thing is that they leave at the rate at which they qualify. So I actually got the Dr. Randall Ortel Foundation. I'm just busy with my legal team to get the proper registrations in place. And then I will actually use that platform as the Dr. Randall Ortel Foundation for graduates to hang on to. I will obviously, try to be administratively sound, do ethical things, and so forth, and then support the community more through a proper framework. There's a lot of good people in Manenberg. There's a lot of NGOs. There's a lot of people doing work, but sometimes they just lack that administrative skill, and then the organization is not sustainable. So one has to reinvent the wheel all the time. So now that I've completed my master's, I actually looked at this model, and I'm just busy refining it. So people will soon hear the Dr. Randall Ortel Foundation will be obviously gaining traction, and we will support the current projects in Manenberg. And I will then use that foundation as a vehicle for graduates to hang on to, and then do good work through there. Because to the graduates that I've spoken to, they said, Randall, we don't have the guts that you have, to speak to the people that you speak to, to come down and, to be on the streets all the time and so forth. We don't have that guts. So, I mean, we can do it via you. And I mean, that's also a personality that some people just have. They don't want to be in the, in the media or in the limelight or something, but they want to do the good work. So I think that organization or my foundation will definitely bridge that gap. And you will see more good work coming into Manenberg and giving the kids more platform.
Dr. Randall Ortel, what a pleasure talking with you this morning. Keep up the amazing work and being that amazing role model in Manenberg and far, far beyond. Undoubtedly, we will talk some more. God bless. Go well.
Thank you so much. Shukran.
It is exactly 13 after 9 o'clock. Standing by with the news of the day is our news correspondent, and that, of course, is Uzai Jadwit with the news bulletin. And a very good morning and welcome. Assalamu alaikum to our Polokwane listeners and viewers. This is News and Views on Salam Media, and we will be telling you what else is coming up on the second hour of the show. So please do stand by.